recording for today. Okay, so your assignment, if we go on DC Connect and we go to the content page, you could do that or go to activities and assignments. So there is a new tab here called assignment information. So this is all the information you will need for doing your assignment. Everything is posted for you. I highly recommend going in order to read the instructions first that are in the PDF document posted. Then watch the video that explains everything you need for your assignment and all the details and what I'm looking for each component of your assignment. Then you will need to use this template that is provided for you. It is a Word document that you will fill out to create your program. So you don't need to create your own document. You're going to fill directly in this template. When you save it, you can just save it as and just add your name to it. But that will be what you will be submitting to me on DC Connect. Filled in, obviously. If you decide to create a program for yourself, as that is an option, you will see there is another document called Assignment Questions Own Program. You do need to fill that out just so it can give me a background about your experience with resistance training and training in general, along with your goals. So I need to know that when I see your program, right? Because am I marking you, as your beginner, intermediate, advanced? So that's important to definitely fill out, and that will also be posted and submitted on DC Connect in the Dropbox when you submit your assignment. As well, if you are creating a program for yourself, you will need to complete a Get Active questionnaire. Okay, so there will be 3 documents that you will need to submit if you're making the program for yourself. 1 is the Get Active questionnaire, 2 is the Assignment Questions Own Program, and then the template. So you have 3 documents you will need to submit. There is an extra video here for you if you do not know how to add rows to tables on Microsoft Word. Definitely take a look at that video because some students do struggle with editing tables in Microsoft Word. If you do struggle with that and you're not sure, click on that video. I also provided you with some ideas. So there's a document here that has exercise ideas, and I wonder if I could just open it here for you. Yeah, I hope you can see that, but it has just some ideas of exercises that you can include. If you don't know what they are by reading them and you're not familiar, feel free to search them on Google, such as a Bulgarian split squat, which is a lunge with the rear leg elevated, but feel free to take a look and you can use, definitely these are great exercises to include in program design. So I would take a look if you are not familiar with too many different exercises. Okay, and so we can also use different modalities, right? So we could use dumbbells, barbells, balls, whatever you like. It does not have to be all the exercises you've learned in the lab. If you'd like to use them, that is totally fine, but you can also use exercises that we did not learn in the lab. And I see a question there, Michael. If you do with a partner, do you need to submit 1 copy? So if you are doing it with a partner, that would only be applicable for the case study, as long as you're aware of that. So if you're doing it with a partner, it would have to be for the case study. If that is the case, I still need, so 1 partner can submit the assignment, but the other partner must just submit something saying, my partner is Michael on DC Connect in the Dropbox. You don't have to submit any files or anything. So 1 partner can submit all the documents and the other one just still needs to put something in the Dropbox, because that will allow me to mark you on a rubric and show you what you got. Okay, so that is what you need to do if you're with a partner. I'm sure you probably have done that before for some sort of an assignment where you just drop, like literally type a comment, my partner is Michael, and that's it. And obviously Michael and your last name, just so I know who your partner is, and then I know who whose rubric is attached to yours. Does that answer your question? Perfect. Okay, and then there's another sample program as well that I've posted for you. This is an advanced program, just as an FYI, but really well done program from students previously. And this is actually like a push-pull program. So you can look at just some examples of how they've laid out, and this is not the template that you're using. I'm just showing you a program just to get ideas, okay? But an example of, a type of warm-up that you can use, including the cardiovascular training and some resistance training. Okay, so just feel free if you want to take a look at this example provided. Obviously, you're not going to copy it. If I do see you copying it, you will get a 0. Okay, but just to give you some ideas of how you could lay out your program. Okay, and as I said, it does not have to be only the exercises you've learned in the lab. You can use any exercises that you're comfortable with prescribing. Okay, so that's the assignment. All the details are posted for you there. If you even go to activities, assignments, you click on personal training assignment. Should I view this? 1 second. It's obviously different on my end here. How do I, oh, I have to preview it. That's so it should look something like that. All the documents are there as well. It's the same thing, just under the assignments tab. And so when you submit, will you be able to submit? Yeah. So when you submit, you'll see all the information and reminding you what you need to submit. If you are submitting your own program, you need to submit the 3 separate documents. If you're just doing the case study, you only need to give me the template. Okay. So follow the instructions, read all the information, watch the video. If you still have questions after watching the video and reading the assignment, then please, you can ask me, send me an email, ask me any questions you have. And that was a good question, Michael, because I don't think that was covered in the assignment if you're doing with a partner how to do that. So I will remind you guys in the announcements as well. Okay. Any questions about the assignment? And you're more than welcome. Please just say no. So I know you don't have any questions, and we will move on to today's topic. Thank you, Kripa. That is a no. Good. It is due December 5th, as I hope you've seen. It's worth 15% of your final grade, okay? Any questions, anyone? I hope you're ready to participate today. I'm looking forward to your participation. And we can make a program together. And it's kind of fun to go through it together because, again, there's not one way to do it. So I'd like to hear some of your ideas of what you might prescribe. All right. If no one has questions, we will then begin. So let's get right into it. So we're going to be able to create a program from some fitness assessment results, which I'll show you. And then we'll be able to create a full program that includes cardiovascular, resistance training, and flexibility training. Okay, and that's what you'll need to do for your assignment. All right, so here's your case study. So this is just some preliminary information that you've collected from your client. And again, if you have the handout with you, I have it as well with me here to follow along with that, or again, have it open. All that is posted again in the document. Okay, so we have Jordan. He's 25 years old. And so we have height and weight. On the sheet, it's blank. So the BMI, if you do the math, you should get 28. What category does that put him in for BMI? What BMI category? And again, more than welcome to chime in on the mic here. It's just going to help this process. And again, if I don't get participation, it's going to be very, very quiet lecture here. And I don't want to be going through everything and giving you all the answers. What would be his BMI category if his BMI is 28? So BMI, remember we have underweight, normal range, overweight, or obese. Overweight, that's correct. So anything from 25 to 29.9 is considered overweight. So he's 28. So we'll just keep that in the back of our mind and you can write it down, but he is technically overweight, technically. But let's look at some other measures here. Blood pressure, is he in a normal range for blood pressure? Is his blood pressure good? Is it elevated? Is it low? Yeah, Patrick, thank you. It's normal. Yeah. So anything under like 120 over 80 is good. Okay. So he's good. He's right there, 118 over 78. So no issues with blood pressure. He's young, so hopefully he has a good blood pressure. Heart rate 66. That's fine. That's a good average resting heart rate. And then waist circumference is 88. Anyone remember the cutoff for males of increased health risk for waist circumference? Forget. Didn't you need to know this for fitness assessment? Not quite 90. It's higher than that. Higher than that for males. Unless they've changed it, but I don't think so. Anyone else want to try? Any other guesses? I'll say you're much closer there, Patrick. I'll give you guys the answer. It's 102 for males, 102 centimeters. So is he above or below 102? Well, hopefully you know 88 is less than 102. So he has a normal waist circumference. Okay, so he doesn't have an increased health risk due to his waist circumference. Okay. So far so good. Nothing that I'm too concerned about his BMI, blood pressure, heart rate, waist circumference. He has passed preliminary screening. He doesn't have too high of a blood pressure or heart rate, so he can continue with the fitness tests. Okay, so let's just gather some information about Jordan. So I'll give you a little bit of background about him. And this is hopefully maybe applicable to you a little bit and more related to yourself, because this is now going to be a student who's working and training at the same time. So we have a full-time student, Ontario Tech student, UIT, same thing, works part-time at Subway 12 hours a week on top of being a full-time student. And I know I'm sure a lot of you work as well, so you can probably relate to that. He used to play soccer in high school. I could say high level. Let's say he played on a rep team. Okay, I'll give you that. So he played high level soccer. So he currently has been doing training 3 times a week for the past 2 years. So he does upper body resistance training twice a week for an hour, and he runs 5 kilometer 1 day a week. Okay, so that's what he does currently, only 3 days a week. What are his goals? He wants to increase his lower body strength. We can look right away. He doesn't really do much resistance training for lower body. If you see here, he's only doing upper body twice a week. So where's the lower body? So that's something to consider when you're programming for him. He wants to increase his cardiovascular endurance. Again, he's only running 1 day a week. And he wants to improve flexibility. And then one last goal is he wants just a new upper body resistance training routine. So he's been doing the same thing for the past 2 years. He wants a new workout routine. I don't have the whole workout routine of what he does. We're just going to make stuff up of kind of like what you think might be good for him to do. And he wants to continue training 3 days a week because that works best with his busy schedule. So yes, with all his goals, it might be hard to achieve all his goals with only 3 days a week, but we can see if perhaps he could fit 4 days, maybe, but we'll start with 3 and we're going to work with what we have, and then we can give him, you know, some recommendations of stuff he can do that maybe doesn't have to be at the gym if he can, you know, fit in some extra cardio, not at the gym as an option. Okay. So anyone have any questions about the case study? And again, this is in that sheet, so at any time you can come back to it, because we're going to keep coming back to obviously what his goals are, what he currently does, and we're going to build from there. Okay. Okay. So let's look at his fitness assessment results. Now, if you have the charts in front of you, if you actually printed it out or have it open, because in the case study worksheet, the charts are there for you to go through the health benefit rating zones. Now, if anyone's following, if you want to go ahead and take a look at his VO2 score, as a male who's 25 years old, we can now get him into a health benefit rating zone. If anyone can find that on the sheet, does anyone have it out to hopefully get an answer there? What would be his health benefit rating? Thank you, Michael. Awesome. All right, you are correct. It is fair. Again, going to the charts, male column, age is 25, we get a rating of fair. Okay. Let's go to the next one then. Grip strength, what would be his health benefit rating? Thank you, Michael. Awesome. Good job. Yes, good is his health benefit rating for grip strength. Moving on. Push-ups. 50 push-ups, pretty good. What would we get here? Excellent. Thank you, Noah. Perfect. Sit and reach. What's his score? Poor, good. Yep, he has poor flexibility. So there we go. Right away when I see that, I know he needs to definitely work on flexibility in his program. Vertical jump, leg power. What do we got? There, good. You might have the slides open too, and it's in the slides, but anyways. And back extension, what do we get? Good, good, good. Yes, correct, good. So based on that, what can we kind of conclude? What, like, overall his fitness level, what would you say? And maybe what are some things he needs to work on? What is he good at? Maybe we can shift it into that. What does he definitely need to work on? Flexibility, 100%. Awesome. Yes, thank you. So definitely he needs to work on that. So that's something he should be including in his program, and we'll have to put that in. What else? What else might he need to work on? His lower body. Yeah, totally. So I would say his cardiovascular endurance could be better for his age, and his leg power could be improved. So we could kind of work on our endurance, aerobic endurance, along with working on his leg power. And that was one of his goals anyway. So he has established that he needs to work on that. Now he doesn't do much legs for training. So easy, if we just add that into his programming, we can get improvements. So he's good at push-ups. He's good at upper body muscular endurance. He does upper body already 2 days a week. Yeah. So that's great. So we don't maybe need to, work as much in that aspect. But for sure, lower body might be a focus that we might be adding. Grip strength is good. So, I mean, it could be improved more if we'd like. So we can continue to work on his upper body strength as well. Okay. Back extension, he's good, right? So again, looking at that endurance, we can work on it, but I think by including some lower body training, we can improve that score as well. All right. So based on that, you can just kind of get some ideas, right? What do you think they need to work on? What would be like fair? And so that means that's, needs improvement, or poor scores. And then what are they good at, right? And so that can give you an idea of kind of how you want to shift your focus to the program, but also comes down to the client's goals, right? If they're telling you, I want to improve my aerobic fitness, and they don't care about upper body, then, you know, you can focus on what their goals are. You can make a suggestion, but it depends. Again, if he only has 3 days a week, what are we going to focus on those 3 days? Okay. So let me just clear that here. Okay, so the next step, let's classify his resistance training status. 2 days a week upper body. He's been training for 2 years. You saw some of his results. What would you say his resistance training status is? Beginner, intermediate, or advanced? Okay, so Bumi, we say advanced. Jay, we see intermediate. Intermediate, Michael. Take a few more votes. Anyone else? Vivida, intermediate. No intermediate. Okay. I would agree. I would go with intermediate, right? I wouldn't say, you know, he's advanced in the sense that, you know, he still has quite a bit of work to do on some components. He doesn't really train much lower body. Yes, he's been training for 2 years, which is great. Frequency is not too high. And he only really focuses on upper body. So I would go with intermediate. If he was doing like 4 or 5 days a week, including lower body, and we had some like really excellent scores in some of the upper body components, like grip strength, looking at that, and back extension, I might go more advanced, but based on what he's currently doing, I'm going to go with intermediate, and I think that's a fair assumption to make. Okay, so we're going to go with intermediate. All right. Next, we're going to create a weekly schedule. That's what the next step is. So when you're doing your assignment, I would go with creating that weekly schedule first. It's going to make the most sense, because then from there, we're going to expand on it. And we're going to go through aerobic training routine. We're going to create our resistance training workouts and create our flexibility mobility routines. And then when we complete everything, and this goes for your assignment as well, take a look at it. Do we follow the principle of specificity? Is it specific to the client's goals and what they're trying to achieve? Is there variation in the program? Are they doing the same thing every day? Progression and overload obviously might not apply until we start looking at more like, you know, a time frame. So like 3 months, for example, where we can see that happen. But we should have enough overload to stimulate the muscles, right? And create the adaptations we want. So progression is more, you know, as we continue on over a period of time. But I want you to take a look and see, do I follow these principles in the program that I've created? So I'd like you to look back once you finished creating your program. So we just did that. Okay, we already said intermediate. And here's that chart that we have looked at a long time ago. In intermediate, we see, you know, they've been training for a year or more, 3 to 4 days a week, medium to high intensity. And again, I wouldn't say he's advanced. His exercise selection is probably not too high compared to someone who would be advanced. Okay. So we've done that. We've classified him as an intermediate. So let's continue. All right. So let's take a look at creating his schedule. And here's the fun part, because you can really decide what you want to do, but we only have 3 days to work with. So what are we going to do? Okay. So 3 days a week, he wants to improve his lower body strength. He wants to improve his cardiovascular endurance, flexibility, and then he wants a new upper body training workout. And then so that can depend. We don't know what he's currently doing, right? I don't know. Are you bench pressing? Are you just doing push-ups? What are you doing? So based on all that, we can then, you know, make it new, because we're going to be changing up exercises. But because we don't know, we're just going to create some workouts for him. So here's your schedule. All right. So I'm going to leave it to you guys, and you tell me what you think. And he works part-time at Subway 12 hours a week. I don't know when his shifts are, so we're not going to be too concerned about, you know, if he's training on the weekend or what days of the week. So you decide, what days do you want him to train, and how do you want to split it up? And I'm going to make this bigger here. You got to tell me. So again, it's your idea, your thoughts, and you tell me what you think, and we can go from there. There's not going to be one right answer. He could literally train Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't care if that's what works for him. I'm just trying to make this table so I can type in it. Okay. All right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, let's keep it simple. If you want to just stick with a normal Monday, Wednesday, Friday routine, we can totally do that. I would talk to the client and see if you have these goals, and so feel free to agree or disagree, but if you have these goals of working lower body and upper body and improving your lower body strength and continue improving your upper body, I might recommend 4 days if they can. If they're like, no way, too busy, life's too busy, okay, fine, we'll do 3. So that's what I would do. I'd talk to the client and try to see, could you do another day? So let's go with that, Noah. Let's go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, if everyone is good with that, unless, I mean, you could do Monday, Tuesday, Friday. You could do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever works with the client's schedule. Okay, so there's not really one right way to do this part. Okay, so we're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday if you'd like. Let's see if I highlight here, will you see this? Ah, can you see the yellow? Can you see that? Cool, perfect. All right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those are the days I guess we have chosen, unless anyone wants to say no. So that leaves us with those other days, which we can have, if he's too busy, as rest days, or just some thoughts here, depending on the client. He has poor flexibility. That's one of his goals. Maybe he can fit in 20 minutes of mobility flexibility training on the days he's not at the gym. He can do it at home. He can do it before bed. He can do it in the morning before school if he has time. So I would give that option. Okay. This is, again, pure discussion with your client. You're going to talk to them. You're going to discuss what works best, but I would recommend it. Okay. So I'm going to put, let's leave it on the weekdays here. So Tuesday rest or mobility, and same with Thursday. I'm going to leave the weekends off. If he wants to do it on the weekend instead, by all means, go for it. Okay, and rest means no training. Okay, hope we're good with that so far. And we're going to just leave, let's go leave Saturday and Sunday as rest. Okay. Anything you can't see at any time, please let me know. I'm just typing as we go along. Feel free to fill this in as well on your sheet as we go through it, everything. Or in the Word document as well. Okay, now here comes the fun part. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, what do we do? His goals are new upper body stuff, plus improve his lower body strength. What are your thoughts? Okay, we have cardio on Monday as a thought. Sure, I'm going to just see what ideas you come up with, then we'll discuss and make a final decision. Okay, Wednesday upper body. And again, you can tell me Monday, I think you should do this, Wednesday this, Friday this. That's fine with me. What are your thoughts? How might you split it up? Again, there's not one answer I'm looking for, so I'd like to see some ideas. Okay, cardio Monday again, sure. What else? How about lower body? How are we going to incorporate that? Okay, lower Friday. Okay, so here's like what I see so far. So you could do, okay, Jay, I see that upper body flexibility Wednesday. Okay, so like what I see so far is like Monday cardio, Wednesday upper, Friday lower. Okay, I see that as an option. I would try to put cardio with the Daisy's resistance training if he can, and do like a short high intensity session, because he's done soccer, he has run before. I would do more like a quick hit session and then his resistance training, or do resistance and then hit after, just so he can get some cardio in. You're still going to get benefits, but because he's short for time, I would do more like high intensity stuff. He's not training to do a running race, like, or, you know, he's not training for soccer anymore. And again, feel free to let me know your thoughts on that, if you agree or not. And again, this is where 4 days would be nice, where he could do ideally 2 days upper, 2 days lower, and then like 2 or 3 of those days do like hit with those workouts if he could. But we're with 3 days, so we'll leave it with that. Okay. So then comes, okay, so we could do upper and lower. So you guys are splitting it up between like upper and lower. Remember, we can also do push pull as another option. So we could do some lower body and some upper body exercises, but split it by muscle groups. Does that make sense? Where we can kind of really focus, let's say, on chest and shoulders, and let's say do like a deadlift, so like hamstrings, and then another day focus like on lower body, and let's say squat, and then doing some like pulling like rows and lat pull down, just some examples of exercises. So you could split it like that too. So I'm giving you ideas. What ideas do you like? I know I'm not writing them down as we go along, but it's going to be a very big mess on the slide if I type all the ideas here. Here, let's do the 2 ideas. So we have Monday cardio, Wednesday upper. We're going to say RT for resistance training. Sorry, I'm trying to type here. Friday lower resistance training. That's one idea. Okay. Next idea, we can do. So, okay. So here's where this is like, again, coming from experience, and what I would do with the days you have, is each day do full body, but not do the same exercises each time. So do a little bit of lower, a little bit of upper, or like a mix between both. Go heavier on some exercises to work on improving strength, and then not do the same exercises each day. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Do you agree? Would you recommend that too? Versus splitting upper on one day and lower on another day, we can do upper and lower, but have like 2 core good lower exercises on that day. And then we can also do our upper, so we can still do full body, but again, focus on what his goals are. Again, that's what I would do for the days that we have. Okay. So no one's obliged to that. So exactly. Yeah. So again, for someone who's that limited with those days of the week, and let's say they just were looking to be fit, like I would do full body 3 days a week, but don't do the same exercises. Okay. So let's go with that. I'm going to just help you out here. So we're going to go full body plus, let's say, hit on Monday. Okay. So let's just, if that's okay with you, I'm just helping you guys out, giving you ideas here. If you do it that way, upper, lower, and cardio, it's not wrong. I'm just saying you probably won't get the same benefit of doing it with 3 full body days. Okay. Oops. So full body again. Let's do Friday HIIT too. So 2 days of HIIT. I mean, if he wants to do 3, we can, but for the days he has, if he had some time on those Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday, and could do a 20-minute HIIT workout, I'm sure he could. Okay, fit it in somewhere, or like again a run or something. We can add that in. So like I could add it in on, let's say, Saturday, Sunday, like, or cardio if they can, right? If that's an option. He should be very active throughout the week as much as he can, walking, you know, as much as possible and moving around. I know it's hard as a student, but to try and be active as well. So does that make sense? Is that fair? And again, we're going to go through what I would say from full body, and we're going to go through each workout and how we're going to split it up differently. So let's say for the Monday, I'm going to say Monday is going to be a squat, heavy, like heavier. Okay, we're going to focus on that. And we're going to say, yeah, we could do that, Jay, as well. Yeah, totally. Again, there's not one way to do everything. So yeah, we could do upper and lower and then a full body day. Yeah, we could do that too. I mean, if you want, we could switch it, but it's up to you how we want to do it. And you'll see these fundamental movements will come in. Will come in. You'll learn them next semester. Okay, and then we can do another lower body heavy movement on a Friday. We could do another squat variation, or I'm just trying to, how do I want to do this? First, I would go, let's do, I'm just trying to think here. We can do like hip thrusts with some weight, like leg extension stuff, leg curls. So more like the assistant stuff here, let's say. Are we following so far? I just don't want to, yeah, burpees will be HIIT. We'll make a HIIT workout too while we're here. Is that okay? Are we following so far? Like, do you understand my logic of why I'm doing it this way? And then you're going to see that on Monday and Wednesday and all the other days, we're going to do different upper body stuff too. So we'll do like some rowing and pushing and pulling, right? So like chest press, we can do rows, we can do, you know, different and isolate the upper body differently, right? I could do chest one day, back one day, shoulders, bicep, triceps another day. I can split it like muscle groups, right? We really try to overload those days, right? For those muscles. So we really fatigue them. That's what I would say would probably give this client the most benefit for the time he has. Okay. So far, so good. If he still wants to run his 5K, you can take it out and he can run 5K again one of those days. And then if he can fit in resistance training and do maybe on the Friday, we can just do more of like a circuit type of resistance training. And then he can run 5K too and do like a 30-minute resistance training circuit. It depends. It depends. There's not one way to do it. And again, if you disagree and you would do it differently, that's fine, as long as you have your reasoning as to why you did it the way you did it. This is where we go with program design. There's not one way to do everything, okay? Good? Any questions so far with the weekly schedule? Because now from here, we're gonna take what we've come up with and we're gonna now expand and go through each day what we would do. Any questions? I'm just going to write down what I put so when we make the programs here, I know what I'm doing. No questions so far? Don't panic, again, of what you see so far, because we're going to add in more exercises, okay? So let's move on then if no one has any questions. So here's the aerobic training routine. So here we go. These are the steps that we've learned already. So the mode, again, this would be a conversation with your client. Like, what do you want to do for cardio? Do you want to run still? If he likes running because he played soccer, totally, let's do running. Do you care? Do you want me to pick, right? So it's going to depend. Does he want to do the rower? Does he want to do the elliptical? What does he want to do? So again, comes down to the client's goals, what are they comfortable with doing, and their experience, right? So we're going to say he should be able to figure out how to do most things. Like as a soccer player, we're going to say he could do like body weight, like burpees and stuff like that. So personally, or let's see, what do we pick here? Okay. What would you determine for his mode? Like, what do you think? Other than what I've mentioned, what would you think? So remember, he has 2 days a week where he's going to do cardio, we plan. What might you do? It doesn't have to be body weight. It can be, okay, so again, my question is, what type of aerobic training would you give to this client? How would you go about prescribing? Would you make him run? What would you do? Would you make him go on the bike? Would you make him go on the elliptical? What are some thoughts? And again, not one answer. It will come down to what the client also wants to do. Okay, rower, totally, yep, that's an option. We can put that in. What else? He can run, sure, why not? Stair climber, yeah, why not? Again, he's more advanced, so or more intermediate to advanced, so I wouldn't mind giving him. Yeah, elliptical if he wants to, sure. Yeah, so really, you got one option, and so I'm going to type out some of your thoughts here. I wonder, one sec. It's actually easier. I can actually type in the slide, which I didn't realize I could do until today. And it seems like it's easier to do that. All right, so we could do running. He can run. Yeah. We do so we can do intervals on the treadmill, like speed. We can do hills, which would be like with incline, right? We can do rower. We can also do intervals on the rower if we want, or just steady state if we want, or just like for a duration of like 15 minutes, for example. We can use the stair climber or the step mill, whatever you want to call it. If he wants to do intervals on it and get you know, good workout in a short period of time, we can totally do that as well. We can do the elliptical if we wanted to as well. You could also do intervals on the elliptical, right? Where he goes like really fast with maybe a little, or tries to push a little heavier tension for a certain period of time and then ease off and repeat. We could also do some body weight, calisthenics exercise. So there's options. So because he's going to be scheduled 2 days a week, I mean, maybe on the third day, I would maybe just do one of them as just part of a warm up, right? As we're going to do, right? So like steady state warm up. So in that case, I would probably put the rower on that day and he could just go on for steady state for a warm up. He could do the stair climber, he can jog. It doesn't matter. It's whatever works for him. Okay. So those are your options. So let's decide. So let's say again, we go back in the schedule here. Let's go back. Let's go back to the weekly schedule. Okay. So we're gonna do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? As we said. And so we're gonna do aerobic training on Monday. What would we do on Monday? What do you want to do for him on Monday? What shall we do? Sure, let's do the rower. Why not? So how do you want him to do the rower? Do you want him to do it just for a period of time? Do you want him to do intervals on it? How shall we do that? Sure. Okay, let's put rower intervals. Done. And I would put it for a time period. How long do you want to give him to do that? Again, thinking he has about an hour. Okay, sure. 15 minutes, totally fair, reasonable. If he goes hard, again, we can get an effective session done in 15 minutes. Cool. Let's go to Wednesday. What shall he do Wednesday? So let's say, whoops, why do I keep clicking that? Let's say he does just for warm up cardio. What would you want to give him? What do you want to give him? Sure. And again, because he is advanced, let's go. Can we jog it? Do you mind if he jogs for 10 minutes? We can do a jog. Doesn't have to be hard. I'm going to assume because he played high level soccer, he can at least do like 6 to 7 miles per hour. Oops. For 10 minutes. Totally. That's the warm up. Okay. Fair. Totally fair. What about Friday? What do you want him to do? And this is cardio, right? All up to you. Okay, elliptical. Want to go elliptical? I was thinking have some fun with it and do like a HIIT body weight circuit with like burpees and stuff. If you want, because we can make that at the end of class. We can do 2. That's just my idea. Because you can go quite high intensity and get, again, effective workout 15, 20 minutes. Unless your heart's set on the elliptical. Or we didn't put the step mill. Do you want to do step mill too? That's another option. Yeah, let's do HIIT. Okay. We can include the step mill into the HIIT training session too, right? So let's just do HIIT body weight, like a circuit. We'll make one up. Okay. So let's do that. I think that's reasonable. Duration is not too long because of his short time, right? And so this is where on those other days, I'd recommend if he can add in that cardio on another day, that would be ideal if he can. Like it's, again, 30 minutes if he wants to go for a run. It doesn't take that long. So it really comes down to, can he fit more in his schedule? Because we're really kind of confined here with 3 days a week and all his goals, right? If his goal is only cardio, that's easy, right? We could just do 3 days a week of some different stuff. So you'll see here that, the way kind of we set it up is 2 days of intervals and like higher intensity cardio, and then 1 day of just like easier, and it's like a jog. Again, 10 minutes is not a long time. Is that enough to significantly improve his cardiovascular endurance? No, he might have to go longer, right? So as I said, that's just his time constraint. Okay, just so you know the reasoning behind it. Okay. All right, so we've determined mode. Now we need to determine the intensity. So we need to do his heart rate. We already know frequency, and we've already pretty much determined duration. So you can kind of see how that all happens at once. But the next one is the heart rate. Okay, so what % heart rate reserve would you recommend for Jordan? Based on, again, the days he has, his experience, what were the target percentages that we talked about last week? You remember the percentages we talked about? Here, I'll give you a hint. What percentage would you choose? Okay, so we got 40 to 60% here for moderate level. Okay, heart rate reserve, I'm assuming. That's what you're choosing because that's where you got the number. Okay, see J here, 60, 85%. Here comes, okay, what do we pick? So here's what I would do. Again, because he, he doesn't run often. His VO2 is not the greatest, but he's not like a beginner client who doesn't and never train, right? He used to play soccer. So I would use 60 to 85%, but I would say on that one day where he's just jogging on the treadmill, let's stick to the lower end of the range, like 60 to 70%. And then on the days he's going vigorously, we can go 70 to like 85%. Does that make sense? So we'll come back here. So I would go 60 to 85%. Personally, because again, he's used to pushing himself. He could as an athlete. Okay. He used to play soccer. Yes, he's been training, mostly again, resistance training, but also can run. I mean, I can make up a time of his cardio. Yes, his VO2 wasn't the greatest, but because of the days of the week he has, like 3 days, he needs to go a little intense on those days. So I'm going to say again, one day will be on the lower end of the range. And then those other days where we're doing that like higher intensity kind of stuff, we can be closer to the top end of the range. Does that make sense of why I chose 60 to 85%? Okay. So here's where you got to do your math and calculate it. Now it'll take a few minutes to do it, but if you want to try, we know his resting heart rate 66, he's 25 years old. Can we try and calculate 60% of his heart rate reserve? Oopsies. So I'll give you a minute to just calculate and I'll do it here with you. So if you can at least calculate 60%, then we can go from there. And then you should be able to calculate 85% on your own. So hopefully you remember heart rate reserve. I'll start you off here. We need to know his max heart rate first. What do we get for his max? Okay, 190.5. That's what I got. I would just round up to 191 just because we're at 0.5. Yeah, good. So 191 max. So here's those brackets that I would put in. Max minus rest times percent plus rest. So that it should start off like that and you should be able to get a final answer. I'm not going to go through all the steps here. Again, it shouldn't be the first time you're ever calculating this. What do we get for 60%? Anyone get an answer yet? That seems a little high there, Michael. It shouldn't be higher than his max. Yes, Jay, I got 141 as well. So hopefully that is what you guys get as you do math. Okay. All right, so that's 60%. I'll just give you 85 if you'd like to do the math and practice. I got 172 if anyone did the calculation for 85%. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time here because I'd like to spend more time on creating the programs here. Hope that's what we got. Okay, cool. So 141 to 172 would be his target heart rate range. Again, on the days that, or the day that he's at the lower intensity, we can pick the lower end of the range and go like 141. It's probably going to be somewhere around like 150 for 70%-ish, and then about 150 plus to 172 for the higher intensity sessions, okay? So you do need to do that. You do need to know how to calculate heart rate reserve, especially for your assignment. So here is the intensity, which we talked about already, the techniques that I would use, right? So we talked about, okay, he'll do 1 day of just jogging on the treadmill. The other 2 will do higher intensity. So basically the 1 day, it's more like warm up. Like we could get him to run for 20 minutes if he can. He can train for more than an hour, sure, because then it'll just take a little longer to get the cardio in. And then you can do interval, as we're gonna do, like let's say on the rower on the Monday, and then Friday it'll be like a kind of like a HIIT circuit, high intensity interval training, like that. So we're not going to be including fartlek. We're not going to include pace tempo training into his program because we just don't have time to include that all, and that's not his primary goal. Okay, so that's just, again, some of the ideas. So we talked about this already. We determined the frequency. We're going to try and keep him at least 3 days a week if we can. Okay, because 1 day is not enough to improve his cardiovascular endurance. Okay, and then how long should each session be, which we talked about. We have already done that. So we did keep them a little shorter, but if he does end up having more time, then we can add in, an extra few minutes. So let's say on the rowing day, instead of 15, 20 minutes, on the day he's jogging, if he can do 15, 20 minutes, that'd be great. Maybe 30 minutes, again, depending on his time. Hope that makes sense. And then the other day, we'll do like a 15, 20-minute HIIT circuit. Okay, sorry. So this kind of goes to the end of like, okay, well, if we're going to look at this at, okay, how we're going to progress them over a period of time. Well, hopefully I can increase duration. That would be a goal. If I can increase frequency, that would be great, as I've mentioned several times. So it'll be the 2 things I'd work on first for Jordan. If not, then we're going to have to kind of work on building that intensity. Hope that makes sense. We can also play around. Let's say, you see him, okay, 1 day is rowing, 1 day is treadmill, 1 day is like HIIT, body weight, whatever. We can play around with that. Like the next week, we could use the step mill instead of the rower. And the week after, we can do hill intervals. So all the other ideas you guys came up with, you can still use, but it would probably just look a little different as we map it out over a period of time. Okay, does that make sense? So it's not like every week is the exact same thing. We can change it every week as well. So that is more looking into progression. Does that make sense? So just some examples here. Increase duration of sessions if we can, and I can increase frequency, right, to 4 days a week if I can. Increase the duration, and then add variation of exercise mode. So we can do step mill, we can do hills on the treadmill, totally sprinting, yeah. Whatever else, like elliptical, right? On other machines, right? Okay. So again, as we look at it over a period of time, I'm going to start adding in some variation once I've tried to get him at 4 days a week, if you can. And obviously being as active as possible throughout the day, not sitting for 2 long periods of time. Okay. This is the fun part. Are we okay? Do we need a break? Like, are we okay to keep going? And move along here? All right. I'll take that as a keep going, Michael. Thank you. Okay, let's get into it then. Let's make our resistance training routine. So remember, here's all those steps. Okay, for 8, 9, 10, we're not going to probably get there because that's, as I said, looking more at a period of time. But we've determined the frequencies 3 days a week. Now is the fun part where we get to decide what exercises we select, on what days he's going to do them, the order of them, and then we start playing with sets, reps, and rest, and the weight. Okay, obviously weight is going to be challenging here. We don't know much about what he can do. We only have his fitness assessment results. So based on what we've done in the lab, we can kind of, I'll just kind of give you some guesses of what I might give to him. So we have his results. We know that he has good upper body endurance. He wants to maybe improve more of his upper body strength. He didn't really say if he wants to build muscle mass. Okay, he did say it, which would then guide my thinking into hypertrophy. So we might focus his upper body on hypertrophy. And then lower body strength. Okay, because he's intermediate, I think he can try and go for a little bit heavier loads, and then like the lower rep ranges for strength. So let's do that. Okay, so here's his goals again and his current status, which hopefully you remember now, as I've said it several times. So when we're looking at resistance, the 2 goals here would be, as I said, improve his lower body strength or increase, and then a new upper body program to build mass. Okay, so he's kind of looking at like strength and hypertrophy, but they go hand in hand. If you're getting stronger, you will have hypertrophy, right? If you are building muscle, you will also get stronger. So it's not like they are separate identities, right? We can still do 6 or less reps and it will still help build muscle. But if we really want to build muscle, then we're going to obviously do a little bit higher rep ranges. Okay, so we have him scheduled 3 days a week for aerobic. Okay, and we said we're going to combine, right? So that's fine. So 3 days for total body. So we're just moving along because it's here in the slides. So here we go. The fun part, this is where I want your help, and feel free to give me ideas. So we're going to split it between core and assistance exercises. We're going to just list exercises, then let's split it up into the 3 days of how we want to do it. And then we'll split with the core and assistance. So let's come up with the core exercises you want him to do first. Whoops. Okay, so you're more than welcome to go for it here and give me some ideas. All right, leg press, sure. Squat. So we're going to go through like as many ideas as you have, but we may not use all of them, understanding it's only 3 days a week. Okay, deadlift. And this can be a lower body and upper body, right? So not only lower body. Okay, so leg curl is an assistance exercise. We're going to put it on this side. Chest press. Overhead press. Lat pull down. Row. Any variation of a row we can pick after. Lunges, sure. Ooh, we got the glute ham raises going in. Would I put it as core or assistance? I would go with that more of an assistance for glute ham raise. Okay. Still good exercise. Back extension. Would I say that's assistance or core? Assistance. It's assistance. Okay. Thank you, Noah. Yep. Back extension would be assistance. Tricep dips. Dibs. Tricep dips. Yep. Split squat. We're going to put that under core. Anything else? We can go through some assistance too. Feel free to give some ideas for assistance. Do you need help? Aha, rear delt fly. Good. I'm gonna call it reverse fly, just easier. That's how I like to say it. Okay, I'm gonna help you guys out here so we can move this process a little quicker. I'm sure you were thinking of those ones. So lateral raises is like a shoulder fly, just so you know. Anything else? Shrugs, yeah, they're good. I just, for a 3-day week split, I'd say, is it necessary? I'm not a huge fan of shrugs, but hey, if you do them, amazing. But we can put it as assistance if we can't think of anything else. Yeah, I would put pull up, chin up. We can do here. I'm gonna go, yeah, Michael, that shoulder press, it's the same thing as overhead press, so same thing. Okay. I think we're good. I think that's a good selection of exercises, unless anyone has any other ones, because now we want to split them into different days. So tricep extension, good. So we could say tricep pull down or extension, right? We did it in the lab, so we call it tricep extension. There's straight bar pull down too, so we could put that here. And remember, the tricep can be rope or the bar, right? Quad raise, you mean leg extension? I'm assuming leg extension, which it wasn't here. Good. Yeah, leg extension, not a quad raise. Okay, I think that's a good selection because now we need to divide it. All right, so let's do Monday. I'm gonna just create a new slide here because now we got to work on ordering them. So I'm just gonna go Monday here. Okay, so let me just show you the options we have. Whoa, yeah, okay. Okay, so how do we want to go about ordering them? Here comes the next question. Again, not one way to do everything, just so we know that. So we can do core first, then assistance. We can do, large to smaller muscles, kind of similar. We can alternate upper, lower. And again, let's think of his goals at the same time. So some of these actually might not be as applicable because of his goals. We can do push pull, alternating even in the same day. We can do supersets, if anyone remembers that, where we do 2 exercises back to back with no rest. Okay, with opposite muscle groups. We have compound sets, 2 exercises back to back, work same muscle groups. If you want to kill the client, you can. And then drop sets, that's more about the weight. And then pyramid sets, again, more about the weight. So not necessarily about the exercises as well. So let's look at Monday, which again, we said that's full body, right? And so let's start it off somewhere. So because we're doing full body, would you start with upper body or lower body first? That's my first question. Either one. Okay, what would you pick? Upper, lower, lower, upper. Okay. Okay, so here's my thought process. Feel free to agree or disagree. Because his goal is to improve his lower body strength, I want to do that first. I want to go like heavier with a lower body exercise first, and then we can do upper body in between as well, because that's going to be more hypertrophy. So I want him to really like push himself and put his energy into that lower body strength. Do we agree? Disagree? Agree? Okay. Oops. So that's my reasoning. So this is how, again, your charts are laid out. So we'll put it in a chart. I'm sure I have one in the slides somewhere, right? But we gotta go like down. No, we don't. Okay. So let's make a workout. So as I said, I want to focus lower body first. That's my reasoning, because we're going to go heavy-ish, heavy-ish-er. So in that case, let's go with, yeah, I agree there. That was exactly what I was thinking. No, is to start with squats. Let's do Monday squat day. Okay. So leg extension, so core exercises, let's do at the beginning where we can load them, we can go hard with them and push ourselves. Okay. So let's do squats first. Okay. I'm going to, shall we do sets, reps, and rests as we go along? Let's see how you remember. So he's intermediate. Okay, let's think of reps first. How many reps would you do for squats? What would you say? 5 to 8? I think that's reasonable for him to start at. Again, given that he hasn't done much lower body. So let's go like 5 to 8, even like 8 to 10 to start off, like more hypertrophy. And then as he gets stronger, we can start dropping the reps and increasing weight. Fair? But let's build a base for him, right? And with doing some lower body. So 5 to 8, you're kind of like in hypertrophy, strength in between. So I'm going to go, I mean, it's not wrong. We can go 5 to 8. It doesn't matter. It's just bigger range. I'm thinking 8 to 10 to start him. It's not wrong to say 5 to 8 either, but in my head, like, let's just start 8 to 10, whatever. Again, not the end of the world. If you chose 5 to 8, the client's not going to cry. Nothing's going to happen. Okay. It's going to be okay. So let's go 8 to 10 reps. Let's pick the reps to start. What, again, I would do, this is going down back to progression, is over time, I'm going to have to drop the reps, increase weight to get him stronger. I'm going to make up something for you. Let's say, currently his best record for 10 squats with the barbell. And this is like last rep is failure. Let's say he can do a plate, 135. Okay, so he's not like super, super strong, but he's not that weak either. So in that case, how much weight might you recommend? If he can only, he's done one, he's tried before, he maxed out, he did 135 for 10 reps and he almost failed the last rep, but he got it up. So how much might you give here? And again, this is just all what would you do theoretically. Obviously, we can go in and do predicted 1 rep max and work with a percentage, but just based on what, let's say, he could have done before. And again, you might like not have an idea of what I'm talking about, like what you would do. I would drop, I would go, and if you can do 135, I might go 115 to start. Does that make sense? If he could do 1 set maxed out, 135, let's drop it about 20 pounds so he can do more than 1 set of 8 to 10 reps. Just giving you ideas here. Again, we don't have any hard data, but we're going to assume that's what he can do. How many sets would you recommend for him for squats? 3, I agree. I would probably do 3 with rest. Yep. So what rest would you give? Two minutes? 45 seconds? 1 to 2 minutes? So he is in what range for hypertrophy, strength, or endurance right now? Like for reps? He's in hypertrophy. So what's the recommended rest range for hypertrophy? You remember? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, 30 to 90 seconds. That's the recommended rest range for hypertrophy. So 30 seconds, a minute and a half, 1 to 2 minutes could be reasonable as well, depending on the client. Okay, so that's fine. So here's your options. Okay, so based on experience, and maybe if you have for your training experience, that if you want, you could superset your squats with a different movement, like an upper body movement. So you don't have to sit and count your timer for 90 seconds waiting till it's time to go again. So that's an option. I would say that is the most efficient to be with your time. It saves time at the gym, so you're not sitting doing rest and counting your watch. You could do it this way. You could do 3 sets back to back, 90 seconds rest in between, for example, and do it like that. But if you want, we could also program where he does like a superset. So he'll superset squats with something else. You want to try that? Has anyone ever done that before? Or anyone currently do that with training, where it's just easier for your time? Totally. Let's do it, Noah. Superset with pull-ups. Sure. Pull-ups. We don't know. Okay, we're gonna assume he can do some body weight pull-ups. Let's say he can do sets of 10. Again, here's all the assumptions. You would know this when you're working with the client. You would probably do like an assessment on them. So how many sets, how many reps would you might do? If you could do 10 body weight, let's say. Yeah, sure. I'm trying to think for, okay, sure, he can do sets of 10. Sure, 3 sets, let's go 10 reps. And we'll just go body weight because he can. And so because I'm going to do this as a superset, what I like to do, and here's what I'd recommend for your assignment, if you do this, I'll give you bonus marks because I told you to do this, is if you're doing supersets, if you choose to, you can highlight both boxes together. And so I can pick a color. The colors might be different depending on the superset, and I can superset it and they're going to be yellow, for example. And so that means I'm going to do squats, I'm going to do pull-ups, then I can rest for 30 to 90 seconds, and then I'm going to do that 3 times. That's going to be more efficient for your time. The pull-ups are really not going to negatively affect your squats that much, unless you're doing like a 1 rep max, then yeah, don't do pull-ups if you're trying to do a 1 rep max attempt. But if you're just training and you're not working at high percentages here, then you'll be fine. Okay. Okay. So let's move on. What else do you want him to do? So let's say that's his first superset. What else can we do? What else do you want to do that day? And I'll tell you, I'm going to reserve deadlifts for Wednesday. So no deadlifts. I'll bring back your exercise list if you want to see it. What do you want to do? Okay, leg curl. Okay, so the other thing is, how many exercises should I choose? That's another question. Again, it's going to depend how long it's going to take to do all of it. Also, how many sets you're doing of each, right? So 3 sets, I mean, for the first superset, I mean, that should take about, depends, like 10 minutes or so with the rest included. So I would say 6 to 8 exercises. Okay. Vivida, so you said leg curl, which is not incorrect. What I would do, because again, this is my train of thinking when I'm creating programs, is I'm going to still pick another core exercise for lower body, but it's not going to be as difficult as the squat was. So what might be something else? And then I'm going to do an assistance later. I'll put it in later, but maybe not yet. Let me do one more core exercise for legs. What might I do? You could do lunges. Yep. Sure. We can do lunges. Why not? You could do lunges. You could even do leg press. So you could do another variation of press if you would like. But totally, why not? Let's go lunges. Okay. And so squats, by the way, this is going to be with a barbell. Just so you know, barbell back squat. Okay. That's what I'm thinking of when I'm putting it here, not just body weight. Okay. So let's do lunges. Now the question is, what type of lunges? Do you want to do with dumbbells? Do you want to do reverse lunges? Do you want to do walking lunges? How do you want to do it? So there's different ways we can do lunges, right? You tell me, you pick. Walking, sure. How do we want to add? Do we want to add resistance, or do we want to just do body weight for now for him? Sure. Okay. We'll be nice. Again, he doesn't train lower body a lot, so I'll be nice to him. But I would say as a progression over time, I'm going to add weight. And I'd probably add some dumbbells to hold on to. So fine, we'll be nice. We're going to do body weight. You guys are being nice. It's fine. Okay, how many reps would you do? So here comes where you might think, okay, 10 per leg, body weight. Okay. Again, because it's body weight, I feel like I would give a range. I would maybe see if he can do 15 per leg. And again, it should burn by the end. So, 10 may not be enough for him, but let's go. I'm going to go 10 to 15 per leg. If that's okay with you. I would even maybe try 15 to 20 just because I want to push him a little, see if he can. Again, I'm just being mean in my head, thinking he can do more than maybe what he can. How many sets would you do? Three? Cool. Let's do three again. Sure, that's fair. Okay, here comes the next question. Do you want to do another superset? We could even do a tri-set, which is 3 exercises, or we can just go ahead and do walking lunges and then the next exercise. It's up to you. Because again, as I said, for time purposes, I don't want to rest after every exercise unless the client really needed it. Do you want to do another superset? You want to try and make a tri-set, which is 3 exercises back to back with no rest? Let's do another one. Sure. So let's do another one. What do you want to do? So let's go back. Let's superset it maybe with another upper body exercise, right? You could totally do like 2 lower bodies back to back if you want to kill them. Sure. Let's go do that, Patrick. Let's do overhead press. Oops. Now, do you want to do it with a barbell? Do you want to do it with dumbbells? Do you want to do it on a machine? You have options. Let's go dumbbells. All right, Jay. It's been decided, dumbbells. Okay, so we're going to have 1 dumbbell in each arm. We're going to be pressing overhead, dumbbell overhead press. Easy, not complicated. All right, how many reps would you do? Okay, 12 to 15. Again, his goal is hypertrophy. He currently does resistance training 2 days a week. You might want to, you could maybe drop it a bit too and do 8 to 10 if he can go heavier to get to that rep range. But 12 to 15 isn't wrong. We can do that. And then over time, as a progression, drop the reps, increase weight. So I'll leave it if you like. We can leave it at 12 to 15. That's fine. I think we can see a trend here. We'll probably do 3 sets. Okay, how much weight? Here comes the question, right? How much weight would you do? So again, based on experience, based on what he can do. Anyone want to pick, what would you think for dumbbells? Just based on what you have an idea about this client. How much weight would you pick for dumbbells? And that would be per arm. How much weight per arm? I'm just curious, 11 to 15 pounds per arm? 35, okay. I mean, I think that's reasonable because he also does upper body already. So I think he could probably handle it. Okay, so I'm gonna go 35 pounds. I'll tell you that is not for a beginner that level, right? But for someone, again, at his level, I think he can handle it. All right, and then we can do our 30 to 90 seconds rest after if we'd like. There's another one. Do you want to do superset or tri-set? Do you want to do a 3rd exercise? Here's where I can add in an assistance exercise at the end. So something that's a little easier that targets a different muscle group than I'm been just working. Let's make a tricep because so you can see what one looks like. Sure, let's try it. Pick an exercise. What do you want the third one to be? So let's go. This is where I would put an assistance. I mean, hey, if you want to kill and just do 3 in a row that are core movements, sure, because that's more fatiguing, just so you know. Triceps with cable, let's do it. The only thing that I'm thinking is he will be a little fatigued from doing overhead press, but hey, let's kill the triceps on Mondays, sure. So cable, so tricep extension with the cable. What attachment do you want to use? So you can use the rope or the bar. Which one do you like better? It's really a choice of your choice. Let's go rope. We have the vote for the rope. Okay, so 3 sets. Let's stick with that. How many reps? 8 to 10. Let's do it. Here, you know what I want to do? I want to make a drop set. Let's make a drop set. Okay, we'll do 1 drop set just so you can see what it looks like. So 8 to 10 reps. So drop set, let's say, what weight would you maybe start him at based on what you can see he can do ish? I'm leaning like 30 to 40 pounds ish. Does that sound reasonable? Sure. Again, I don't know the client until I see them. I don't know what weight they can do, right? This is where you train them and you ask for feedback. I'm gonna go 40 pounds. I'm gonna be optimistic here. So for the drop set, I'm gonna put DS for drop set. Okay, will be to 30 pounds, and he's gonna also do 8 to 10 reps. I could do 3 drop sets if I wanted to, and go to 20. Yeah, I agree. Let's assume he is. So that's what I would put in if I'm putting a drop set. So he's going to do 8 to 10 reps each time. He can max out too. If he can do more than 10, sure, go ahead. And then he's going to go 40, 30, 20 pounds. Okay. And then here, my rest, I'm going to move it, right? So he won't rest after each one here. Cool. Does that make sense? That I would say that's reasonable to do that. You know, those 3 in a row, those are good options. We have core and then the assistance here. And then I would say, if that's all the time he has, again, this should be like, you're not an hour yet. I would say just maybe like 40, 45 minutes, depending how much rest he ends up actually taking and socializing, socializing at the gym. But we could probably do 1 more superset at the end. We can increase the reps with the lower weights. Sure. Yeah, let's do that, Jay. Why not? So let's go 10 to 12, 12 to 15. Let's I would say just max out too. You could just get the client to go to failure. That would be the best way to kill the triceps. So we've hit lower body twice. We've done squats and lunges. We've done pull-ups, which is targeting back. So again, when I look at a program, I'm thinking of the muscles I'm targeting. So we hit back and then we hit shoulders and triceps. Okay. So either I can just keep it at shoulders and triceps and maybe do a couple more assistance exercises here, maybe hitting the shoulders and maybe 1 more back movement. I can still do back and go, because pull-ups are good, but obviously we can do more on another day too. So again, here comes what would I do next, right? Also just thinking too, to work the abs, the core, I would probably have at least like 1 ab exercise at the end of each workout. Okay. Whether that's like a plank, we can do like leg raises, and any other core exercises that you know already. You'll learn more next semester. So any ideas of what you might want to do for the last? You could be a superset if you want to do at the end. I would probably maybe just do like 2 more exercises, because that'll give us 5, 6, 7. We could do 8 total, but I think that's going to be tight for time. You want to do a chest press? Hey, sure, why not? So let's hit chest, triceps, shoulders, right? Again, if you wanted to really focus on like chest, triceps, shoulders, this day maybe I'd switch the pull-ups to chest press, but it doesn't matter, pull-ups are still good. Why not? Let's do some chest press. Dumbbells, barbell, how do you want to do it? Machine, dumbbell, sure. Oh, we have 2 votes. Sorry, I saw dumbbell first. We're gonna go dumbbell. Sure, you could do dumbbell or barbell. Okay. Okay. So how many reps would you give him? Yeah, I agree. I would go 8 to 12. We're in that hypertrophy range. Good. Yeah. Okay. We don't know weight. He's pretty good with push-ups. So what do you think? Ooh, we're gonna do some more drop sets. You want to do that? We could. It is a way you could program. Do you want to do that? And also, what weight might we think based on his push-ups? And again, it really comes down to your experience knowing weights and what's heavy as well. Like most people can't just pick off the top of their head unless you've tried the different weights and know what it feels like. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. 50 an arm, sure. 50 pounds per arm. Yeah, I agree. And overhead press too, don't forget, you always have to put the weight per arm, okay? And so I don't know, Jay, if you want, we can do the drop sets again. I say let's just keep it simple for now, just because of the time. But yeah, you could do 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15. You can do drop sets again. Okay. Good. We'll leave it there. Do you want to do? We'll do one more exercise. What do you want it to be? Just my tip to you. This is where I might just put my ab exercise in. But if you, I mean, don't incorporate it, the world is not over, but I would just put it in. Sure, let's do a plank. Why not? Okay, we'll go 3 sets. How long do you want him to hold it for? Again, we don't know. He doesn't have a plank score, but we know his back extension, which is an indicator of his core endurance. What do you think? Based on knowing what you know about this client, what do you think? 2 to 3 minutes pushing it. I was going to be even more generous. I was probably going to do, yeah, I was probably going to do like 1 minute. Again, we don't know. Maybe he can do 3. Maybe 3 is easy for him. So we'll give a range just so we can make you guys happy. So 60 to 90 seconds. So a minute to a minute and a half, however long he can hold it for. Remember, he has to do it 3 times. It's not just a max out test. So understanding that he might need to do a little shorter if he wants to last for the 3rd set. And body weight, and then we'll do we can do 30 to 90 seconds in between. So I would say that's a pretty reasonable workout. I think that is a good workout. You know, for one day, you got to do this now for 3 days of the week, right? We can kind of start up a Wednesday, but we won't be able to finish. I kind of want to do a HIIT workout and just kind of show you like what you could do for body weight and do like high intensity. So that's a good start. And again, just giving you ideas for someone who might be more intermediate to advanced, that we can do supersets, we can do drop sets. I don't know if you guys, those of you who do train, if you do include like supersets in your training rather than just sitting and taking rest, it is a lot more efficient for your time. And I do it all the time. So I'm kind of biased because that's how I train, because it saves time to, hey, might as well, instead of sit around, do some pull-ups in between, right? Okay. Does that make sense? Any questions? I hope that like kind of just helps to kind of go through the process here. Okay. So this is just kind of what's in the slides. So I actually had some stuff here in the slides for you of what he could do already. So we could kind of use what we know here, and then we can get a predicted 1 rep max, and then we can kind of go for a percentage of that. I was just kind of going, okay, this is what I would do, right? Like in the real world, sometimes you're just going to go ahead and okay, let's see what weight you can do for these reps, right? Without having to do all this calculations of predicted 1 rep max. So if you want, I mean, we can practice seeing what we get, but the idea is that you get a predicted 1 rep max, and then from there you'll know their max, and then we can work at it as a percentage, right? And so if we continue, then we can then look at, because he's intermediate hypertrophy, 67 to 85% of what his max was, right? If that's what we're looking at. Again, that's a big range. So what do you think would be more reasonable for him? And again, that's just going to be key, kind of trial and error at the beginning as you learn your client and what loads they can handle for the different rep ranges. Okay, the rest we've already talked about. And then the variation, and that's kind of more what we would do over time. So I'm just skipping through here. Okay, and then the sequencing over a long period of time, right? How we would sequence it, which we're not going to really worry about too much right now. So then the question is, okay, well, he needs to work on flexibility. We talked about that, right? And so what I was going to ask you to do is to create a dynamic warm-up for each of the sessions. So he should do a little bit of at least dynamic stretching with maybe some foam rolling or lacrosse ball work before he starts. Even if it's only 10 minutes long, that's fine. It's better than nothing. I would do that before he does any like high intensity stuff, right? So, I mean, he can include, remember we've talked about the general warm-up where let's say he goes like easy on the rower for 5 minutes, and then he goes through his dynamic stretches. And then we can go and do the intervals, let's say on the rower, for example. So you would need to make a warm-up. That, I mean, no one's just going to go in and start squatting, you know, let's say 80% of their 1 rep max without warming up. So understanding that does take time of the session. And then you're going to create a cool down as well for each of the sessions. So each session, he will have some exercises. You could, you know, as I said, as we looked at, program some stretching on days off if you can. Not hard to do at home before bed, where if you're sitting watching TV, do a little bit of your mobility work. It will make a difference in the long run. And I think everyone can really fit it in, no matter how busy you are, 10 minutes before you go to bed, instead of sitting and watching, you know, scrolling on Instagram or something, right? So, but you can create a separate routine for those days if you'd like for this client, for example. The question here is how long might you have each warm up and cool down be? I would say, again, 10 minutes for warm up, depending on his timing. If he doesn't have time to cool down at the end of the session, like do stretching, like static stretching, if he'd rather do it at home, I'd say that's okay. I'm sure maybe some of you do that, or you just skip it altogether. But if he has time at the gym to go do a little bit of, you know, static stretching for some of the muscles he worked, he can. But if he can't, then I would include that outside of the gym, before bed, at home, just working on his mobility. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Even if it's mobility and like kind of like easy, light dynamic stretching, like let's say the 90-90 hip stretch that we did in lab, that is more dynamic, right? But we can still do that at home. And it's as like kind of part of our mobility work. Not, you know, all stretching needs to be static. It can be dynamic, okay? So here's my question to you now. What muscles and joints would you focus on stretching based on his lifestyle, fitness assessment results, and his goals? So we saw his sit and reach score was very poor. So what does that indicate? What might we focus on? Hamstrings, yep, I would focus on hamstrings. What else? Lower back, yep, exactly what the test is testing, right? Glutes, yep. We don't really know much other than he says he wants to improve his flexibility. So, and I'm assuming he sits a lot as a student. So that's something else to think about. For sure, hip flexors, working on hip mobility, adductors, so a lot of lower body. And then it depends on his upper body mobility. How is his shoulder mobility? Does he need to work on that? And again, that would usually be done like with a little bit of an assessment. You would be able to test mobility and you would see limitations when they're exercising as well and say, oh, wow, this is what we need to work on. So you might get him to squat and his squat's not perfect. We see maybe he's not able to hit depth. His heels are coming up. So this is where, okay, now I can now tailor his stretching to more specifically what he needs, right? So he doesn't always have to stretch every muscle group. We can target it to be on what his weaknesses are. Okay, so based on that, again, exactly what you guys were saying, hamstrings, lower back, glutes, I would go hip flexors, adductors, for sure, I'd hit those. There's a great routine you're gonna learn next semester. It's called Limber 11. Feel free if you're interested to YouTube it. The guy who kind of put the sequence together is called Joe DeFranco. If anyone's heard of it, you're more than welcome to say, I know what you're talking about. But great routine that really opens up the hips. And even just doing that will show vast improvements in someone's mobility. So just doing that, I would say, hey, go do Limber 11. And that would be like their mobility routine. It doesn't take long. It's like 10 minutes to do, not even. So you'll learn that next semester. Even if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. So, so focus on lower body mobility just because he's sitting a lot. And then if he does have any upper body mobility issues, I'd work on, maybe some shoulder and opening up the chest. If he, we're going to assume because he does upper body a lot, he does a lot of chest. So maybe his chest is tight too. All right. In that case, if you're creating a dynamic warm-up, I would have, again, think, and as we've practiced in lab, so I'm not going to take too much time because, again, we don't have a lot of time we can't make a warm-up right now, but maybe to practice, when you look at it, it should equal about 10 minutes, let's say. So from beginning to end, how long is it going to take for him to do each stretch, an approximate duration, and then you can see the timing there, okay? Based on each exercise. So don't overload. You can't do like 20 different stretches, but enough where the routine in total might take about 10 minutes. Okay. Same for cool down, depending on the time, 10 to 15 minutes of mobility or static stretching is probably a good enough time to have. If someone wants to spend half an hour or do a full yoga class, by all means, go for it. If you want to do an hour of stretching, you can. Just depends on the client and what their goals and what they're trying to achieve. Okay. And then the last question here, which we've answered already, was would you have him do any extra mobility work on his recovery days? The answer is yes. Okay, I would, if that's something he wants to improve, which we already included in his session. Okay, so basically once you've created his whole program, again, I'm giving you ideas of how to get started, how to get thinking of how to create a resistance routine. And we created one, and then I would change it up. So on the next day, let's say Wednesday, I would do, different exercises. So deadlift would be in here. Let's go back. So analyze the program, obviously. You would want to make sure we follow those principles. So let me go back here for you. Let's see. Go back. Probably see my son there, I think, maybe. So let's say on Wednesday, okay, how would I change this up? How might I make it different, right? Because it's still going to be full body, right? So on Wednesday, I might do deadlifts instead of squats. I may change up pull-ups. You could do another variation of a row if you want. I could do another chest variation if I want. If I'm keeping the same format, I don't have to. Right, I could do another lower body exercise in between if I want to kill my lower body, but maybe deadlifts, if you're going heavier, don't do that. But let's say deadlift superset with, you can pick, and if anyone has ideas off the top of my head, I'm just thinking what I would superset that with, probably like a row, like a seated row or something like that. Again, nothing that's going to negatively affect my ability to deadlift too much. Could be another a bench press too, if I wanted to, depending how heavy I'm going. Okay, so that would be like what I would change for the Wednesday. And then here for lower body, instead of lunges, I would hit another posterior chain, like we hit for deadlifts is glutes and hamstrings. I would do hip thrusts or glute bridge, or like a good morning, another variation to hit the hamstring, so we can really build the lower body posterior chain on that day. And then Okay, instead of overhead press. So now we can maybe add more back again. So we did a row, maybe we can add a lat pull down, maybe we can do a bent over row, another variation, right? Bent over row with a barbell or a dumbbell, something like that. We have options, right? There's not one way to do everything. And then we can, let's say, do biceps instead of triceps on this day. I would add in maybe some shoulder isolation, like the lateral raise exercise instead of chest press down here, and maybe superset that with like another isolating, like, I don't know, a chest fly or something like that. Again, the options are endless. I'm just giving you ideas of kind of how my brain functions of creating a program and how I would sequence it. Okay. Quickly, just some ideas for some HIIT. I know I promised we would do like HIIT body weight circuit, something like that. But some ideas of exercises you could do. Literally, I'll just give you like an example of something you could do: burpees, jump squats, jumping jacks, or jump rope. Feel free to chime in here if you have any ideas, so like a HIIT body weight circuit ideas. Mountain climbers. Thanks, Boomy. Awesome. Mountain climbers. You could even like do dumbbell work. Like some people, I mean, you can include like dumbbell snatches. You can do kettlebell swings. Yep. You could do step mill in here. Sure. Let's do a 2-minute interval on the step mill, for example. So here's just some examples of exercises. So each one I could do, let's say, however I want. I'm going to just type on the side here, like 60 seconds per exercise. And I'm going to go back to back. So burpees, squats, jumping jacks, jump rope, mountain climber, step mill, do them back to back with no break. If the client is not as advanced, then you might want to add a little bit of rest at some periods of time. But hey, a good hard circuit, 60 seconds per exercise. And we can repeat this like 3 to 4 sets of all of them. That should not take long, right? 60 seconds times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one's 2 minutes, but 5. So that's 5 minutes, 7 minutes for 1 round. So if I did 3 rounds, it's like 20 minutes. Jumping power slams. Hey, anything. Tuck jumps. There's so many options of ideas you can use. So anything that's body weight that will get your heart rate up can be an option. So you can put like together like 6 different exercises, sequence them, do a minute, 45 seconds. You can do 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off, whatever you want. I like to go back to back to back, just get it done. You can go 7 minutes straight of hard work, get a break, then repeat. And so, yep, jump rope is rope skipping. And I would, for rest, I would say 60 seconds rest after each one. Whoops. That makes sense. Okay. So just some ideas. That's like another way you could program some high intensity cardio. Okay, it's already 5 o'clock, so I don't want to go too much over time, but I hope that helped. And thank you so much for participating. I appreciate it. But I hope that gives you a better idea of kind of how to go about programming. I know you can see that I have a way of doing it, but if your way and like your thought process makes sense, it's fine. But again, it's coming from experience and what I've done before and what has worked, especially with clients, and then working with a time that you might be limited with. So that's it from my end. Does anyone have any questions? And I hope that helped. Please tell me. How long would it take to create a program? Now, it depends what program you're making. Is it, just for like that 1 week? Are we looking at a year program? Are we looking at 6 months? It depends on what we're looking at first. And also comes down to experience. The more you've done it, the easier it will become, because you're like, okay, squat this day, and do this. So you kind of already know how you want to program based on what you remember, what you know already, right? So it could take like an hour, could take less, could take 2 hours, it could take 3, right? Depending on how detailed you're going, and then who you're making it for, right? Is it a client who needs like a lot of detail in their program and some notes and stuff? Might take a little longer, but the more you do it, the faster you get at it. If I'm creating a whole year plan, then obviously it's going to take a while, right? Because I'm going to have to, sequence it and look at it over a period of time. So yes, you make the schedule for the whole week. So you'll do that Monday to Sunday, the whole week. what is that person doing each day, or what are you doing each day? And then for each day you've programmed something, you will have to then create basically one of these, oops, like a resistance training workout. And you need to tell me what you're doing on each day. Like if you're doing just cardio, then put in what you're doing for cardio. If you're doing, as I said, resistance training 3 days a week, you're going to have one of these charts for each day of the week. Okay. Yeah, there's not like a one answer to it there, Emmanuel, because it depends on someone's experience and then who you're programming for and how detailed are we programming. Like, again, are we looking already at a year, or we're just going to do a block? Are we doing a 3-month block, right? So it depends. But again, the more you do it, the faster you get at it. Okay, yeah, sorry, I hope that answered your question, Boomy, for the assignment. So, and then the cardio, you'll see there's a chart as well. So it's all explained in the assignment. There's a chart as well for cardio that you would put in what they're going to do when they're doing their cardio. Okay. Any other questions? Stop.